Meeting of the Security Council is called to order. The provisional agenda for this meeting is maintenance of international peace and security, new orientation for reformed multilateralism. The agenda is adopted. I would like to warmly welcome the Secretary General and the distinguished ministers and other high-level representatives. Your presence today underscores the importance of the subject matter under discussion. In accordance with Rule 37 of the Council's Provisional Rules of Procedure, I invite the representatives of Algeria, Argentina, Armenia, Australia, Austria, Azerbaijan, Bangladesh, Bulgaria, Chile, Cuba, Ecuador, Egypt, Estonia, Ethiopia, Georgia, Germany, Guatemala, Indonesia, the Islamic Republic of Iran, Italy, Japan, Kazakhstan, Kuwait, Latvia, Lebanon, Liechtenstein, Lithuania, Malta, Morocco, Nepal, Nigeria, Pakistan, the Philippines, Poland, Portugal, Qatar, the Republic of Korea, Romania, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Singapore, Slovenia, South Africa, Spain, Switzerland, Thailand, Turkey, Ukraine, and Vietnam to participate in this meeting. It is so decided. In accordance with Rule 39 of the Council's Provisional Rules of Procedure, I invite His Excellency, Mr. Chaba Koroshi, President of the United Nations General Assembly, to participate in this meeting. It is so decided. The Security Council will now begin its consideration of Item 2 of the agenda. I wish to draw the attention of Council members to document S/2022/880, a letter dated 25 November 2022 from the Permanent Representative of India to the United Nations, addressed to the President of the Security Council, transmitting a concept paper on the item under consideration. I now give the floor to the Secretary General, His Excellency, Mr. Antonio Guterres.
Mr. President, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, strengthening multilateralism to address today's global challenges has been my highest priority since assuming office as Secretary General. My report on our common agenda and the process it has initiated are aimed above all at reinvigorating multilateralism to deal with today's interconnected threats. Mr. President, even during the darkest periods of the Cold War, collective decision-making and continuous dialogue in the Security Council maintained a functioning, if imperfect, system of collective security. The international system created after the Second World War succeeded in preventing a military conflict between the major powers. States armed with nuclear weapons cooperated to cut their numbers, prevent proliferation, and avert a nuclear catastrophe. Peacemaking and peacekeeping by the United Nations helped to end conflicts, saving millions of lives. Notwithstanding this important progress, we are still grappling with many of the same challenges we have faced for 76 years. Interstate wars, limits to our peacekeeping ability, terrorism, and a divided collective security system. And at the same time, conflict has evolved dramatically. We have seen fundamental changes in how it's fought, by whom, and where. Lethal weapons are cheaper and more sophisticated than ever, and humankind has the capacity to annihilate itself entirely. The climate crisis, on the other way, is now contributing to conflict in a host of ways. The negative implications of digital technologies are proliferating. Misinformation and hate speech poison democratic debate and fuel social instability. Many elements of modern life are weaponized: cyberspace, supply chains, migration, information, trade and financial services, and investments. Frameworks for global cooperation have not kept pace with this evolution. Issues quickly become zero-sum and polarizing. Our toolbooks, norms, and approaches need upgrading. Mr. President, the UN 75th Declaration asked me to make concrete recommendations on a broad range of threats on land and at sea, in space and cyberspace. In response, as part of my report on our common agenda, I proposed a new agenda for peace, and I hope to submit this to Member States in 2023. The new agenda for peace will take a long view and a wide lens. It will speak to all Member States and address the full range of new and old security challenges that we face, local, national, regional, and international. It will examine ways to update our existing tools for mediation, peacekeeping, peacebuilding, and counterterrorism. And it will also look at new and emerging threats in less traditional domains, including cyberspace and outer space. The new agenda for peace will recognize the links between many forms of vulnerability, human rights, state fragility, and the outbreak of conflict. It's our opportunity to take stock and to change course. Because business as usual does not mean things will stay the same. In a world where the only certainty is uncertainty, it means things will almost certainly get far worse. The new agenda for peace will aim to address a host of tough questions. It will articulate a vision for the United Nations work in peace and security for a world in transition and a new era of geopolitical competition. It will set out a comprehensive approach to prevention, linking peace, sustainable development, climate action, and food security. It will consider how the United Nations adapts its peace and security instruments to an era of cyber threats, information warfare, and other forms of conflict. It will look to Member States for new frameworks to reinforce multilateral solutions and manage intense geopolitical competition. It will call for new norms, regulations, and accountability mechanisms to strengthen the multilateral system in areas where gaps have emerged. And it will consider how we can further engage with non-state actors, including the private sector and civil society, to meet the challenges of our day. The new agenda for peace will also consider how the UN's existing toolbox can be enhanced. The Black Sea Grain Initiative shows that the United Nations still has a unique and important role in brokering solutions to global challenges. We must build on and expand such innovative approaches. Our existing tools and operations also have enormous value and have contributed to saving many lives. We must do everything we can to invest in them and adapt them to new realities. Where they fail, it is often because they are asked to do the impossible. And I look forward to further discussions with Member States on this important process. Monsieur le Président.
Mr. President, preparing for the future is a challenge for the entire United Nations. The Member States are working with determination to evolve the intergovernmental organs depending on the needs and realities of the present day, and I welcome the negotiations that have been taking place in the General Assembly since 2008. A majority of Member States are now conscious that the Security Council should be reformed to reflect contemporary geopolitical realities. I hope that the regional groups and the Member States will be able to work together to achieve a greater consensus on the path to follow and on the modalities for reform. The organization and I myself stand ready to provide the necessary support. The Council is already benefiting from the new working methods that have been put in place, including open debates and informal mechanisms which aim to strengthen collaboration with the entirety of the UN's membership. The contribution of women's rights organizations in the Council has helped us make headway on our prevention work and strengthen our response to current conflicts. Consultations that are open to a broader range of stakeholders, including women's rights organizations and persons affected by conflict, displacement, and human rights violations, can only benefit the work, the influence, and the credibility of the Council. I also note the calls from Member States for the revitalization of the work of the General Assembly and the strengthening of the Economic and Social Council in the context of a reformed multilateralism. The General Assembly has demonstrated that it plays a vital role in bringing Member States to consider the questions that are on its agenda. This year alone, it has adopted many important resolutions, including on the war in Ukraine, the right to a healthy environment, and the use of the veto by the members of this Council. Regarding any decision from member states aiming to rationalize the practices of the General Assembly, resolutions, the presentation of reports, the functioning of the committees, or to strengthen the work of the high-level week of the General Assembly, the Secretariat stands ready to provide its support. Regarding the Economic and Social Council, the proposed biennial summit between ECOSOC, the heads and state of government of the G20, the Secretary General, and the international financial institutions would be an important step towards the better coordination of global governance and the creation of a global financial system that is adapted to